Carolina maker, and we're here with, again, one of our endurance tech tips with Doug McCabe. How you doing again?
We're doing good.
All right. And again, these tech tips are brought to us by Capri Tools, but right now we're talking about Valco Cincinnati, and you're with Big Wrench Racing, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about some other products. So what other products do we have to talk about today?
One of the main products of Valco is their aluminum silicone.
Okay.
This is a 600 degree constant. We'll take a constant 600 degree as long as it's on there.
Okay.
And what they did was they put aluminum powder in the silicone, and the aluminum powder lets the heat go through the silicone without ever making it rock hard.
Okay.
Because when silicone would get very hard from long-term heat, that's when it cracks. And with the computers, intakes, all that now, if it gets a crack in it and it's sucking a little air, that computer just goes crazy. You know, it'll just change the mixture, it will just do all kinds of silly things. So for intakes, exhaust, your O2 sensors, this is for doing that. You know, we'll take all the heat. The one complaint was that people were doing multi-hour races.
Yeah.
And in the process, they were getting those cracks.
Mm-hmm.
So now, most of the major engine builders of NASCAR are using this to seal their motors.
And what you had said to me is, you mentioned the aluminum powder,
Mhm.
but that is, you make it sound like it's common, but from what I understand and what you shared with me, that is not common in this
No.
industry. And the fact that Valco does that makes it very unique.
And that's what it makes it, that it's been made for racing. Again, the owner was a racer. Stuff he had, tractor pulling truck, gets very hot at the end of the run.
Right.
You know, you see them sitting there steaming and boiling and all at the end of pulling the sled when they can't pull it anymore. So he had to find something that was going to hold up, that he wasn't constantly taking the thing apart, resealing it.
Right.
And when he made this, that's solved the problem.
And I mean, these racers out here, they're running 8, 14 hours, they experience the same thing. When you're an endurance racer, you have the same opportunities.
That's where, you know, it seems that this would be fitting to the endurance market of it being able to stand up to long term. And some people have sealed up their stuff for the beginning of the season.
Okay.
They never had to take it back apart.
And they never had to take it
Unless
apart.
they had to do maintenance, they never
Yeah.
had to take it back apart. They never had enough heat and long term
Yeah.
to keep it from stopping.
You even said it can do patchwork.
So it comes in a 3-ounce tube, or you can get it in a regular caulking gun.
Wow, okay, so like this, but at the same time, you can get in a
You
big
can get
caulking gun level.
And shops will get this because it's more cost effective
Oh, I
for somebody
bet.
who's gonna use a lot in
Yeah.
a period of time.
If you're doing if you're just doing something on your race car and you have one race car at home, that's one thing. But if you're doing a lot of motors, a motor builder, they're gonna need this.
Another thing that's about this is you see this nozzle on here.
Yeah.
All our silicone comes with a nozzle, so that number one, you have the control of putting it down,
Right.
and number two, the cap that comes on the silicone, that's for shipping. That is, and the reason you'll see silicone sitting around in a toolbox hardened up, this does not keep air out.
It doesn't.
Nope.
Okay.
So it'd be take that off, punch the hole with it, then throw it away.
Okay.
Put the nozzle on it, then if it does harden up by sitting around long enough, that's what you have. It hardens up in the nozzle, you never wind up losing the tube,
Yeah.
because the nozzle will fit tight on there.
So that's what it would look like. It just.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat. Okay.
So the nozzle will fit tight on the tube, and you wind up not losing and hardening up, because you've seen when it gets hard up front, and people stab holes in the middle of it and
Yeah.
squeeze it out, and they're wasting a bunch. If you have that on there, because otherwise you can stick a pin down in it and open it back up, or if it's gotten hard,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can just pull that out, put it
But
back
I
on,
think
and
that's the
continue
most
on.
amazing tech tip. You know, the Valco product itself is amazing, but that is an amazing tech tip you just shared. That I bet you 80% of mechanics just go ahead and put that cap back on, and you just explained that that's the worst thing they could do. What a great tip.
Does not keep air out, and air getting the silicone is what's going to harden it up. So the little bit of air that could get in the end of that nozzle and
Yeah.
harden that up is very minuscule, so you wind up not wasting product.
That's amazing.
Okay. The other thing that we do a lot of is our thread locker.
Thread locker.
This is the old formula from 30 years ago that you put a spot on a bolt
Okay.
and it stays there.
One little spot.
And that's all you need to put a bolt in. That's it.
You don't need to soak it
The
in.
new stuff has gotten running to where you put a spot, you put it down there, and it runs around the bolt.
You mean like the competitors?
Yeah.
Yeah, the competitors.
It runs around the threads or starts dripping on the floor. And basically, we have been selling a lot of this to motorcycle shops because they have to thread lock everything.
They do. Huh.
With the engines, especially Harley, has to thread lock everything where it shakes it up, shakes it
Well, I
loose.
would imagine with those motors the way they are.
So, I will go to motorcycle shops, they will get this. In a year's time, they use half as much in a year's time. That is helping their overhead by using just the one little spot and putting it together. But see, it's not going to run down, so
No.
you can actually assemble it. I've always got mad about thread locker on a bolt, and then I'm trying to put it in an intake manifold, and it winds up dripping off.
Yeah.
Now you have to clean that up.
Goopy everywhere.
So that
And it's
kept
hardening,
happening.
so now you got to, yeah, it's just a many level problem.
So like I said, this is the older formula that many of the older mechanics, I walk into a shop, show them this. Okay, how much? Give it to me.
Right. That's great. Well, thank you
So-
for that. That's a very good piece of information for racers
Yeah,
out
and
there.
like I said, and that is all you need to put on. Some people get the runny stuff and it runs down the end of the thread, and that just makes it a lot harder for the next person to get it out.
Yeah.
And that might be you if it's your race car.
Or the next mechanic. Right.
Okay,
Good tip.
there you go.
Well, thank you very much.
Well,